Hi, I'm Keith Lightning, and I want to share with you the 3 biggest things I learned about coming out later in life, and a little bit about the perils of my journey. So hopefully you can make this courageous journey with as little pain as possible. So I'm 37 years old. I know I don't quite look it. Thank you. And about 5 years ago, I started questioning my sexuality. I was married to a woman for about 5 years, my best friend and my soulmate. And through her love and through our own spiritual journey, I started to question really my feelings about people. And I started to notice that I wasn't as attracted to women as I was men. But I really loved women, and I felt really emotionally close with them, and I wanted a family, and I didn't really see any other way to live. Some of us are late bloomers. Some of us don't have a safe environment as children to be who we are. And we have to create a false mask, a false personality. It really is the personality of the closet. In order to survive, literally, sometimes it's not safe for us. I grew up in a Baptist, Pentecostal, very fundamental family system. And I knew at a young age, intuitively, that the core of who I was really misunderstood. And the fact is that they actually viewed who I was as the devil. When I came out to my mother at age 35, she said, "There's a demon inside of you." And I want to know, who told you? Who told you? The devil's living inside of you. Yeah. So I want to share with you the 3 biggest things I learned. I've been coming out now for almost 5 years, and it is a journey. And I now serve many other men in their coming out journey. So I want to empower you with some perils, some perils of wisdom, so that you may experience this journey with as least pain as possible. Coming out has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I was married to a woman for about 5 years as my best friend and my soulmate. And I loved her more than anything in the whole world. I had planned my whole life with her. I didn't see any other possibility. It was just her. It was the life we were building. And through our journey, we got into spirituality together. We both were raised kind of Christian, but neither one of us really resonated with that. And I used to play in a rock band toward the world. And through that journey, it gave me the opportunity to experience magic mushrooms. Magic mushrooms, if you know anything about them, they are a psychedelic, but they're also a sacred plant medicine that have been used by indigenous cultures for thousands and thousands of years. And my first few experiences were really, really weird, but it awoke something in me that I was looking for, but I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. So I kept using them recreationally until I started having these recurring, really deep spiritual experiences, really what they call a mystical experience, where I experienced direct connection of myself with a larger intelligence that I had never experienced before. It was the first time I really ever started to really believe in a God or a higher power. And that greater intelligence has been a profound guiding light for me in the recovery of my sexuality and the reclaiming of my gay spirit. So, children. So the first thing that I learned, and the first thing I want you to know, is that this whole journey of coming out is first and foremost about your own internal homophobia. Everything that you experience in your life, all the anger that you feel in the world, rightly so, towards a world that is really run by straight men, everything that you feel, the anger inside, your frustration, your rejection, all of it is rooted in your own internal homophobia. And the whole journey is really coming in to evaluate the beliefs that you have about yourself. What do you really believe about yourself? And what I found is that those of us that are raised in a Christian or fundamentalist system, we have a profound system that needs dismantled. We're so many layers and layers of beliefs that are more than just however old you are. If you're 25 or 45 years old, it's longer than that. It's thousands and thousands of year old paradigm, belief system that you're dismantling. So this journey really is about looking deeply within at your own beliefs that you have about yourself and dismantling those. So how do you go about doing that? There are many ways, but the foundation is to have some sort of personal practice. And that's really number 2. The second biggest lesson I learned is that you have to have some sort of personal practice to learn self-love, to learn what the Buddhists call MAITRI, which is loving self-kindness. And this has been, again, one of the hardest things for me. So looking at my own internal homophobia and realizing, wow, there's so much of myself that I fear. There's so much about myself that I fear that I didn't even realize. So first I feared my voice. My voice has changed since coming out. And this is one of these judgments I have that's just like, why do some gay men have like the gay voice and some gay men don't? I don't really have an answer to that question other than just we are who we are. But for me, I found that I was a very flamboyant gay, and that I tend to be a very feminine gay at times. And I hold a lot of shame around that voice. So even in this moment, I can feel myself just allowing myself to surrender into the tenderness of the truth of who I am. And in that I feel shy. I feel this, like I'm sitting in a public park now and there are children and other people walking by, and I feel my own sense of like, is it safe to be who I am? And if I just come to my own grounded sense of self-acceptance, and I have little mantras I use every day as a ritual. So part of number 2, having this personal practice, is having a morning ritual of coming out. Every day, every morning, I wake up and I come out to myself. Sometimes I look in the mirror. Sometimes I'm just sitting on a cushion. Sometimes I dance and do it. But there's something I do every morning to remind myself who I am. Because I lived for so many years where I started my day from a different personality. And that personality I've learned to call my guardian. So in psychology, there's kind of the protector energy, or in shamanism, the task is to dismantle the false personality, or to shift your identification with the false masks to your core essence. And the coming out journey is exactly that. It's transitioning from that part of ourselves that we've created to kind of survive in the world. But I ultimately believe that we need that mask at certain times. Now, some people will argue that that's just living in fear, but the reality is we do live in a world that is not completely accepting who we are. So there's a need to dismantle that part of ourselves, but it's not to throw it away. I call upon that part of my mask when I need to. If you live in a city or in a part of the world where it's very open and loving, and that gays are just, really, you're surrounded by them, that's a humongous gift. I currently live on the East Coast, outside Baltimore, and I'm trying to move to California because I just feel that's where my home is. And I still feel myself in many places. It's a constant evaluation with everyone that I meet, everyone that I work with. Day to day when I'm, out like at a restaurant, or if I'm out like at a cafe, it goes through my mind every time, how homophobic are you? I'm constantly evaluating that person's comfort level with who I am. And it's a fine line, because there is a truth in needing to be fully open who I am, but there is a truth in there are people who just don't accept that. And it's a matter of safety. So that's very real. And I wish that we didn't live in that world, but that is the world that we live in. And I pray that you find an environment to create a space for yourself where you don't have to live in that at all. And that's the life that I'm working to create for myself, is to surround myself in a community that fully just totally loves and supports me, that I feel safe. So that's really the importance of number 2, is the self-acceptance and the self-love and a personal practice. It really leads us to number 3. So number 3 is about having a support system. So this journey of coming out requires allies. It requires people who really love and support who you are, so that when you stumble or when you might come out to certain people and it doesn't, and you feel rejected, then you have a place to where you can retreat back to. So when I came out to my family, that really set things on fire. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I thought actually coming out to my dad was gonna send him into a heart attack. Like, I literally thought that my dad was gonna have a heart attack. But my mother was the one who had the hardest time with it. My mom is a very deeply spiritual woman. She's loves Jesus to death. She's just like has the hugest heart in the world. But she's very conditioned by her beliefs about that come from the Bible's very fundamental interpretation of gays. So coming out to my mom, she had pretty much a nervous breakdown. She said that her God forsake her, and she's like basically denied God. It was this whole spiritual crisis for her. And it was through this journey of coming to learn to love each other, like where she is in her journey and where I am. It was actually the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of the Christ path that helped me really learn to love her where she is and to forgive her and forgive my father. And it was really tough not to just like push her out of my life, to push both of them. My dad had a hard time too. My brother had a really hard time, and I haven't seen my nieces or nephews in about 3 years now since I came out to my brothers. My brother's older, and he just didn't take well to it. He just wanted to know where my brother was. He wanted my brother back, like he just didn't know who I was. So literally, I've shifted into a different personality. That's in the dismantling of the false self, or that kind of guardian closet personality. You will lose friends. You will lose people that are close to you. And there's a lot of grief and loss that is in this path. That's inevitable. And it's that personal practice that you need to be in your grief, to honor your loss, because that grief is actually carving out your ability to experience more joy. Because being gay, your birthright is a tremendous amount of joy. I mean, it's not just gay means like you're attracted to men. Gay is this wealth of joy and that we have inside of us and play that is our birthright. And our grief is something that carves it out of us, that makes way for us to experience more. Yeah. So those are the three biggest things that I learned that I teach my clients. This first thing, this journey first and foremost is about your own internal homophobia. We need to evaluate our beliefs and grieve how we've actually felt about ourselves, like the internal rage and the internal shame, and the internal rejection that we have about who we are. And the second thing is to have a personal practice that helps you ground in self-love, because it's through that open heart that you grow, that melts that guardian false personality. And it is coming home to your true essence. See, there's a voice inside that's different than the voice that you've identified with your entire life. And the voice that's inside is the voice of your true essence. And it comes from here. It rises up out of your sexuality, out of the place where you held the shame, up through your heart and out this way. It's not the one that's come from here your whole life. And this practice enables you to shift your identification from the false self into the true self. But it's a migration that needs to take time. It's a tender, tender journey. And the third thing is having that system of support. It's so important to have friends and people that fully love you for who you are, that can hold you through this journey. People that will see you in the truth of who you are and not expect you to be someone that you used to be. So that's what I have for you. Many blessings on your journey, and if you would like some support, you can contact me at keithlightning.com.